Hey Zane, how's it going? I'm sorry. I feel like I've been neglecting you lately. I'm sorry about that. I've been really busy, but I'm here to. I got your message. I'm here to take a look at your acting or your dialogue ideas. Ideas. So let's have a look. I'm going to take a look at your peer review first, and then I'll look at your reference. Let's back this up.
He's really very gentle and fuzzy. We're becoming fast friends.
Um, The one about that one, something about, or what I think about when I hear that is the first ideas that are coming to my mind is something involving an animal, obviously because he's furry or whatever. And I don't know how easy that would be to animate because you'd probably have to find an animal model, and I don't know if that would work. Um, um, that one, nothing really comes to mind right away because of that furry. What is the line? Um, Fuzzy. It doesn't have to be an animal because he's fuzzy. It could be, it could. I don't know if how many. I think this is a one character shot, so you can't involve someone else. If you can do a two-person shot, even if the second person isn't talking, if it was like a fat college kid on a couch eating something, and then this was the guy that was like his roommate, maybe he's got like a tie on and he's really like prim and proper and neat, and the maybe like the really dirty, gross other guy is just, messy. He's got stains all over him and chips all over him. He's just hammering food down his mouth. So maybe that would be kind of funny. Um, just the contrasting characters. But I'm not. That would involve animating two characters, and I'm not sure if you could do that now. And it would, it'd be tough because you'd be really working on that one character, and then you'd have to kind of nail that secondary animation of the other character. Um,
Friends.
You are here to free me, right? To bring this travesty to a close because you know I'm innocent.
this is a great line because it has a lot of breaths in it. You can really animate those breaths, and there's some urgency. Um, I like this one because it's very open-ended as far as what the travesty is. So ideas that come to my mind are, this guy could be in Willy Wonka's chocolate factory land or something like that, and maybe he's, uh, you know, uh, two things kind of come to my mind is some place where you're in a place where you really want to be, but you've been there so long that it's not fun anymore, like a chocolate factory or a strip club um, um, or the other thing you could do is something where it is something that's punishment. Where I thought of like, well, maybe this guy's in the audience at American Idol. I don't know if you guys have that in New Zealand or not, but just something like a really bad TV show or something where you're exposed to something that's just like, like this guy's got to go to his grandma's house and she's yammering on about her youth or something like that, or he's at his mom's house or with his parents and he's just like, please rescue me, or maybe he's in hell and he's shoveling poop. You could do something like that. I don't know. Um, Sometimes I tend to think of inappropriate things, so I won't mention those. Um, yeah, that one, I like that one because it's more open-ended, but nothing is jumping out at me right now. I've listened to it a couple times before this, and I came up with a few ideas, but nothing really, if I was going to animate the shot, really jumps out at me right now for that one. But it's good because it's open-ended.
You're not even listening to me. Why can't you get this through your head? Zach did not belong in that plane. He shouldn't have been there.
Okay, this is when I thought of a really funny idea, but again, it's multiple characters and a lot of background animation. But I think it would be hilarious if you had a guy in the foreground saying this, and in the background, maybe you have like a military jet that's like on fire on the runway, and it's like, or it's upside down, or it's stuck in a mountain or something like that. And like, or if it was like on fire on a runway, like maybe it's kind of like on its side or something like that, and there's just like a baby walking around. Like the baby survived, obviously, but like Zach is the baby, and he was, he's like goo goo gaga, like he got in the plane and tried to take it off or something like that. And maybe like fire trucks could be coming up to put out the fire. That's a lot of background animation, but I think that would be really funny. Um, Other than that, it's kind of specific. Zach shouldn't have been there. Um, Hmm. I mean, it's good also because it has a why can't you get this with your the stutter? Um, yeah, it's that's more specific because you're talking about a plane, you're talking about another person. Um, what's hard about this line is you kind of want to see Zach or you want to see the plane, um, and that might involve some background animation. Um, let's yeah, I'll keep thinking about that one.
One can never be 100% sure. But the evidence seems conclusive.
Okay, this is probably your best bet because it's very open-ended. You can have a lot of fun with gags, or you could be serious, whatever you want to do. There's a breath in there for injecting some life into the character. You don't need to have you can get away with doing this line without having any other characters in the scenes. This is a good single-person shot. Um, a funny idea I had for this one was maybe it's a kid and he's got, if you could get chocolate all over his mouth, he would be like, well, it's, you can never be 100% sure, but the evidence is inconclusive. So, what is the line? The evidence seems conclusive. Um, Again, I'm thinking more, some more inappropriate ones for this that I won't mention. Um, I like the kid with the child. Again, anything where, like you said, I think in your reference you talked about like a guitar or something like that. I would try to be more extreme. The other idea that I had was like a robber standing there with like two bags with dollar signs on them. Maybe he's even got the robber mask on, or maybe it's a guy with the robber mask on, and he's explaining himself to a cop or something. Or again, that's two characters, but maybe you can do this without two characters. Maybe just a robber. Maybe he's dressed in all in black with the eye mask thing on, and he says, "You can never be 100% sure." But the evidence seems conclusive. And maybe he looks down and sees the bag with the dollar sign on the side of it. Maybe kind of kicks it behind him, like like he's going to hide it, or he steps in front of it. Um, um, or maybe I keep thinking along the lines of thief. Maybe he's a jewel thief. Um, maybe I don't know how you would present that, but I'm just thinking if he was a jewel thief, maybe he has like a giant diamond ring on every finger, like maybe several rings, and he's like, oh, yeah, the evidence seems conclusive. Um, what else could you do? Um, I mean, there's so much you can do with that. You can have a smash television set, and he can be holding a bat. You could. What else could you do? That's appropriate. Um, a vase. Maybe he dropped his grandma's vase, and maybe you can never be too sure, Grandma, and there's broken vase, but then maybe he's got like vase dust. He like the evidence seems conclusive. Maybe he's got like pieces of vase on him, or again, I think of eating something like a chocolate cake or candy bar where somebody could say, well, you can never be 100% sure, but they have it all over them somehow. Um, yeah, like a pie on a windowsill, you could do that with. Um, uh, yeah, there's a lot of places you can go with that. There's a lot of possibilities. I'll try to keep thinking of more. So let's look at your reference. Um,
You are here to free me, right? To bring this travesty to a close because you know I'm innocent.
Okay, good acting in there. On a whole, I noticed that as far as your acting goes, you have the capability to do some really good acting. Um, I see that where the scene requires you to get intense, you don't get too intense, at least not on the reference, and that's maybe because you're reluctant or you're afraid of other people are going to see you or whatever, and that's totally natural. What's cool about filming references is typically there's no one else in the room with you when you're doing it. I prefer no one else to be in the house or around anywhere, and then you can really have at it. Um, so the thing also about your reference is I'm not 100%. I mean, you did a good job explaining what you thought the situation was going to be, but um, I don't know. I feel like they're a little generic. Like it would be really cool if you had that situation that was like and I'm not sure if you're interested in doing a gag. I tend to go with very gag related situations. But this seems everything kind of seems generic, and maybe you want to start with like a strong idea, and then that will dictate what you do in your reference. These are good reference acting. It's just everything kind of seems. Let's see. So looking at this again, pleading with the audience.
You are here to free me, right? To bring this travesty.
Okay. I have another friend that I critiqued his work, and he did a shot where the character looks into camera, and that seems to be where you're going here. And I'll tell you the same thing I told him is it's generally not a good idea to do something where the character looks into camera. Um, you can do that when you get to a certain point, or you're in I would say for Animation Mentor, don't do it. If you get into a situation where it's your own personal short film and it's like very specific to a gag or something like that, but I really wouldn't do that because what it does is it breaks the the fourth wall. So in acting, you have the three walls, right? You have the background. If you're on a stage, right? You have the background, you have the side of the stage, and you have this side of the stage, right? So you basically have like a little diorama where one end is open, and that's the fourth wall. And you live in this world when you're acting, and you basically are acting like there is a wall here. And by looking out into the audience, you break that fourth wall. You're basically telling the audience that I know that there's not a wall there, and I know that there are people watching us, and that breaks the illusion of what's happening in the scene. And sometimes you can do it because it's funny, like Bugs Bunny will look into the crowd or look into the camera, and then it's like he's having a moment with you about how stupid Elmer Fudd is being or something. But I wouldn't do it in these acting exercises. So and you could talk to your mentor about that. She might not mind, especially because this is like, well, I don't know. I personally I wouldn't do it.
To a close because you know I'm innocent.
Good stuff in there. If I really want to get nitpicky, I would say the hand to the chest is a little cliche, but
you know I'm innocent.
But you're very sincere at the end, just critiquing your acting, which is probably, I don't know if you care or not, but you're very sincere at the end, which is nice. This is a little flat to me.
You are here to free me, right?
Actually, maybe not. That's a nice quiet moment.
To bring this travesty to a close because
you got to be careful because you cut there, and that's an important transition because you're going from a very quiet moment to a big action. So I'm kind of interested to see how his face changes or how his body changes to incite that action to, because if I was just, you're here to free me, right? There's like there's that thought that you're going to jump up and start pleading. And that's kind of lost in the cut there. You kind of go from one moment into the next, and there's kind of this important sort of pre-thought that needs to happen. That's like, oh, this is serious, and then you kind of jump up. So that's really an important thing. We need to see his intention to jump up. But anyway, good acting.
You know I'm innocent.
Okay, what does this say? The reveal, opposite motion, which, as he moves back to the chair, could reveal something in the scene that's wrong.
You are here to free me, right? To bring this travesty to a close because you know I'm innocent.
I see what you're saying about the reveal. Like maybe he would plop down and we would see something that would come into camera that would sort of clue us in a little bit better on what his situation is. But without knowing what that is, it's kind of hard to say. Again, I wouldn't do the looking at the camera, although good acting here, I like how you look away. You're doing a lot of good stuff with your lips. You're kind of licking your lips or something like that. Let's see. Yeah.
To bring this travesty to a
Yeah,
close
good stuff.
because you know I'm innocent.
Yeah, good. I mean, you've got really good acting ideas and good acting skill. Although I would say that I would not look at the camera, and it's also hard to judge these without knowing what your vision is. I think the important thing is to pick something very strong. If you're gonna do a kid with chocolate all over his face, and he's gonna say the evidence is inconclusive or whatever, or a guy maybe with pie filling all over his face, and he's gonna say that's going to dictate a lot about what's going to happen in the scene. You can have in your head, okay, well, maybe where the camera is looking out a window pane from a kitchen, and the window is open, and maybe there's an empty pie tin there, and he is outside the window. Or maybe the camera is outside, so we can see him full body, and it's looking into the kitchen, and he's kind of talking to someone that we can't really see inside the kitchen, or maybe someone outside. So a lot of that idea is going to dictate what happens in your reference, and what the actions of the character are. So seeing your reference is good, but that's why I say it's a little generic, because I don't know if you have a specific idea sort of hammered down yet. You're doing good acting to the line, but what is the situation exactly that the character is in? Because that dictates a lot. Anger at a loss. The helmet is a stand-in goggle helmet worn by old school pilots.
You're not even listening to me. Why can't you get this through your head? Zach did not belong.
Okay, so this is a good example. So your first two references so far have been really good acting, and especially really good subtle acting. This is what I meant earlier by when the intensity needs to get turned up, you didn't turn the intensity up. I'm sorry for like over critiquing your acting. I know this is just animation reference, but maybe this will help. I don't know. So there's a part in this line where he really like growl, like look what happens when I do that. Like my whole neck is like really tightening up, and that really dictates intensity. So I thought one of the things you could do here is throw the helmet. Don't be afraid to add in noises to your line. You don't have to do the line static. If you wanted to have your character throw this helmet, you could maybe sound record, something dropping or something, and then put that in for the helmet being thrown. I think the helmet, using a prop is great. It's a great idea, and you could turn the scene up to 11 even further by having him toss that prop or do something with it, or maybe he like clenches it like he's trying to break it, but he's not able to break it because it's too strong, so he's kind of like, ow, So anyway, let's go back and look at this from the beginning.
You're not even listening to me.
Right there.
What-
You're not even listening to me. Um, I feel like you're saying that a little too nonchalantly. It should be a little bit more frustration. Like, you're not even listening to me. Um, but maybe I don't know. Maybe he's doing this kind of. Maybe he's quietly frustrated.
to me. Why can't you get this through your head? Zach did not belong in that plane. He shouldn't have been there.
Yeah, what you're doing there is really good. But across the whole scene, if the intensity level was raised, you'd have really good acting. Like, all the actions that you're doing are good. There just needs to be a little bit more invested into it, a little bit more power. And I don't mean that you need to get bigger with your actions. In a few spots you do, but in other spots the intensity needs to be there. So let's see if I can. What is the line? Let's see if I can illustrate what I'm talking about. Maybe I'll do it piece by piece.
You're not even listening to me.
Okay, so right there you have a little bit in the shoulders, and that's good. Bring that up a little bit. You're not even listening. You're not even listening to me. You're not even listening to me. There's a little more intensity. Right now you're kind of like, you're not even listening to me. You can be quiet. I like the idea of the quietness of the pose, but you're not even listening to me. Maybe a head shake or something, and lean. You're not even listening to me. What you do with your hands with the Y is really nice.
Why
That's good. That would translate really well to animation.
can't you get this through your head?
A little bit more intensity on through your head. Show the frustration of the character more. You're not even listening to me, are you? Why can't you get this through your head? But really good. What you did there with your hands, they kind of come in and then they go out or something. It was really good. That's good. That would translate really well to animation.
Zach did not belong.
Okay, right there. Zach did not belong in that plane. Zach did not belong. So really just like, the head can cock, the shoulders can go up, the fingers can, get that did not, that's where he's really getting pissed.
In that plane.
And then maybe if the plane is behind him, you could like, in that plane. I know pointing is a little cliche, but you can maybe do something else with your hand to interact the scene. But I like if he said, Zach, maybe he's got that helmet, and he's like, Zach did not belong in that plane. Where he can throw it. Do I have something I could throw? Here. Pretend this beanie is the helmet. Okay. Zach did not belong in that plane. Should have been there. Something with more intensity, I guess is what I'm saying.
He shouldn't have been.
That's why I think if you did a scene with a baby walking around a plane crash, and maybe have it be a plane that's only a one-seater plane, like a fighter jet, and maybe the baby has like a helmet on, like a fighter jet helmet on. That would be a really funny contrast to his intensity, because he's like, oh, he shouldn't have been there, but the baby's okay. It's just the plane's on fire and just like, ah! I don't know. I think that'd be kind of funny. Second take.
You're not even listening to me. Why can't you get this through your head?
Again, a little too quiet, I feel like. And I don't mean that you need to be more explosive or more physical, but get some more intensity. I think you're using Bishop for this, right? Yeah, so the pantomime, obviously, if you're doing dialogue. So you can really get some facial stuff in there. Um, you're not even, you're going to want those brows, and then maybe I'm being cliche. I don't know. You're not even listening to me. Um, I could see wanting to do something quiet. I just feel like because this gets so intense, you might want to start the quiet, still with frustration though. You're not even listening to me. Why can't you get this through your head? There I'm being cliche. W pose.
Zach did not belong in that plane. He shouldn't have been there.
This whole thing feels a little too quiet. So you could start quiet and get um, bigger, and then end quiet. You can start quiet and end big. But this just seems kind of flat the whole way through. And you know what I mean by that is just um, there's a little intensity there.
You're not even listening to me. Why can't you get this through your
That
head?
needs to be bigger.
Zach did not belong in that plane. He shouldn't have been there.
And then we shouldn't have been there seems a little flat on that too. Zach, and you could do the did not part. Zach did not. Maybe he's like introspective for himself. Like, why can't you get this through your head? Zach did not belong in that plane. He shouldn't have been there. Whatever. But even if you do something quiet, so the way this was explained to me was, and maybe this will help you. How was this explained to me? Oh, I'm not going to be able to explain this to you because I'm not a woman. But a woman explained this to me, and she was saying that Marilyn Monroe had intensity, but she could have intensity that was just like, just like, again, I can't explain because I'm not a woman, but she could be big without being physically big, She can be, she could just be standing there and her actions, although very subtle, are larger than life just because she carries a lot of intensity with her. So there's like that quiet intensity and then there's physical and bigger intensity. And it's always good to have a good contrast in your scene. It's what makes the scene interesting. And a lot of these lines have that. This line definitely has that in spades with that really intense part of the scene. It kind of starts quiet, gets big, ends quiet. That's a nice graph to follow. But the intensity is there the whole time. Maybe physically it goes like this. Oh, look, I'm getting a spotlight search. Maybe physically, sorry about that. Maybe physically the graph looks like this, but the intensity seems to be pretty high the entire time. This is just from listening to the line. Hopefully that makes sense. Sheepish evidence. The object is something that's snapped in two, like a guitar, etc. Any ideas for what it could be? So I kind of, it doesn't have to be an object that's snapped in two, I guess. Again, this kind of goes back to what I said earlier. It could be a vase. It could be a pie. Obviously something where this guy obviously did it, but he's trying to deny it, but there's some sort of evidence that is inconclusive or is conclusive. Is that the word? It's definitely, it's obvious that he did it. So it could be a guitar, it could be a lot of things. What could it be? It could be a vase, it could be television. I don't know why the same things are coming to my mind. Could be a window, and he has a baseball, and window's broken. Um, yeah, maybe he's standing next to a broken window holding a baseball bat. Yeah, I'll try to think of some more, but those are some ideas. But you can do a guitar split in two. I think the situation, I think what I'm getting at is the situation is important. If he was just standing around and there was a guitar split in two, it wouldn't have the same effect as he's, backstage at a Van Halen concert and Eddie Van Halen is going on stage, but his main guitar has been smashed in two, or something like that. Where put him in a scene where if you're going to do a guitar that's split in two, um, make it some sort of make it a rock show or something like that, or make it um, I mean, I guess that would be the biggest type of event. Make him look like a roadie, and he's broken Eddie Van Halen's guitar or something like that. And um, but you don't have to do guitar. Um, but obviously, it's it's good to find that situation, um, because that's going to make the scene more interesting. It's going to make your acting more specific. It's going to make um, yeah. I guess that's all that's coming into my mind right now. But let's see what's going on here.
One can never be 100% sure. But the evidence seems conclusive.
Good acting again. I'm not sure if you would want him to pick up the other piece because it seems like um, he's kind of accepting responsibility for it, which you could do. I just think it might be kind of funnier. Um, here he's holding a piece and he kind of picks up the other one. He's like, yeah, I did it. And I kind of think it would be funnier or more interesting even if, like if he had pie filling all over his face and kind of didn't realize it, or maybe he was just trying to play it off like, yeah, well, you can never really be too sure, but the evidence is conclusive, um, or if he was a roadie at a concert or something like that, you can be like, you do that. Can never be too well. The evidence you could never really be too sure, but that's why I like the idea of some way where he can't deny it. Because if he was a roadie even and he was holding a piece of the guitar, or he's holding both of it, there's kind of nothing to fall back on. How did he do it, or how is it his fault, other than the fact that he's holding two broken pieces? Um, what else could you do? Yeah, like I said, like a robber. Um, if you had like a robber standing next to two or to a bag with a dollar sign on it, and he has the mask on, right? He can say, oh well, you never be too sure, and then maybe he puts his finger to his face and realizes that the mask's still on. He's like, oh, but the evidence is conclusive, or something like that. That might be kind of good because the pie filling on the face or the chocolate on the face might be kind of hard to rig up, unless maybe you could texture it. I'm not sure how good you are with that. But the mask you might be able to do. Of course, then it kind of has the peeling. Um, you can maybe fake that. You have a bag. He's standing next to a bag of money, and he's like, well, you can never really be too sure. But the evidence is conclusive, like he can kind of forget that he still has the robber mask on. Um, could you do it like a hat or something? I don't know. I'll think about that a little bit more. Yeah, okay, so that's it. Yeah, great acting. really, really good acting. I would just forget that you're talking into a camera and feel the intensity of that moment. Um, because you have a lot of really great acting ideas and a lot of great acting skill as well. So just turn the intensity up for some of those intense scenes. Um, like I said, I would pick something where you can really create a situation, um, not just a character standing in front of a gray background interacting with an object. Um, Although that is sometimes there's a lot of time constraints and we don't have time to model backgrounds and stuff like that. But me personally, I tend to see what environment could I put this character in, what's going on in the background, what can I cheat? What can I do with textures to make a sign or a building or something like that, just to kind of set the scene a little bit better to make that world real. And then when you can see that in your head, your acting um, really is specific to that environment. And it'll help you a lot with your reference, just kind of imagining being in a scene. If you're thinking about a guitar being broken, but you're not thinking about where you are, you're kind of, it just kind of, it's not as compelling, I think. But if you're a roadie at a concert or something like that, or maybe you know, you're a violin, handing it to the violin to the violin guy at the big symphony orchestra or something like that. Um, or maybe it's a drum. Maybe you could do a drum in like an orchestra pit, and maybe there's a hole in the drum, and you're holding the stick. That might be easier to rig up. Yeah, but I try to find some happy medium between the technology of the rigging and the texturing, and a good idea that I can pull off with minimal rigging and texturing. You know, so I would really pick a strong situation, and then your reference and everything will go from there. You picked some great lines there. I would tend to give yourself a little bit more leeway with um, not being specific. Like so, the first line with the fuzziness um, kind of leads you into having to have something fuzzy, whether it's a scruffy guy or an animal. Um, I would not look at the camera if you're going to do the one where the guy wants to be rescued from the travesty. I would have him look off screen to someone that's off screen, and maybe have him in a um, um, again I'm kind of drawing a blank on that one, because by saying you're here to rescue me, you kind of want, who's he, it's going to be hard to explain to the audience who he's talking to. Um, I could see why you're looking into camera, because you're kind of like implying that the audience is there to rescue you. But that's kind of why I would stay away from that one. The plane one, again, is very specific because it involves the plane, and then it involves Zach. And we're going to want to see at least one or both of those. So that kind of points you in that direction. That's why I like this last one, because it gives you a lot more leeway as far as what the evidence is and stuff like that. And you could talk to a character off screen, and it's not as important to the audience to see that character. So of these lines, I think I would tend to lean for that one. If I was going to do one, I think I would probably figure out a way to texture chocolate or pie filling onto the guy's face, and I would probably do that one because I think it's funny, and it's probably something that you could pull off in a reasonable time frame. It's not like I think that the plane one would be hilarious with a baby in the background for some reason. But then again, you're animating the baby, fire trucks, fire, whatever. That's just a big technological mess. So I think the last one really it leaves it open-ended, and you could pull it off. Whatever your idea is, it's probably more pull-offable technologically speaking. Um, anyway, again, I want to say really good acting. I think that you mentioned earlier that you didn't feel that your acting skills were very strong, but I really think that you had some really great ideas there, and some really great acting. And it's perhaps maybe just because you're a little bit bashful or whatever of other people seeing your reference that maybe you didn't turn that intensity up. Um, So, but I think that you're capable of it. Very good job. And let me know if you have any more questions. And if I think of anything else, if anything pops into my head as far as a funny idea, I will shoot that along to you. Okay, so take care, have fun. I'm kind of interested to see where you're going to go with this. Let me know if you have any more questions or if you want to run anything else by me, and I'll try to get back to you ASAP. All right, take care, man.